Hello, everyone. My name is Josh, and this is the Skype for Business recap. I don't even know where to get started this week. It's been super busy with news. A lot of things announced, released. There is just a ton going on. So very busy follow up to inspire, and there is a lot coming up as well as we start to gear up for Ignite and the Q3 Skype UG user group meetups across the US are going to be kicking off in the next month here. There is a lot happening. So let me not waste too much time before digging in. If you take a look at our trusty whiteboard back here, you can kind of get some hints as to some of the things we'll be chatting about today. One thing I did find out, it is looking pretty likely that I will probably be at Ignite this year. So hoping that goes through. Really looking forward to seeing some of you guys again from last year and new people that I didn't get a chance to meet last year. And hopefully, if I am there, I'm able to do another broadcast or two, maybe a couple interviews again. So we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. But I'm really excited about that. Let's jump over to the Infinity screen and bring up the Edge browser here. All right, first thing, kind of one of those plugs, but really this is a big, community thing here. So MSUC.chat, if you have not been following this video series or have not come across MSUC.chat previously, very easy site to go and learn about. Just go to MSUC.chat and you can read all about the group. It is a monthly online user group of sorts, kind of an open mic style. A whole bunch of us get together from across the community, bring up whatever topics are new within the last month, questions we want to ask, just kind of catching up with what the latest is. I assume this next one is going to be pretty busy based on all the news we've got to chat about today. But it will be this coming week, Friday, July 28th, as we see down here at 3:30 UTC. There is a nice little link here to check your local time. And then we can also, you can click on this link right here to get yourself added to the mailing list. Also, there are two different meeting join links, one for the Skype for Business client, one for the web client, and a link to add it to your calendar. Ben Lee is the one who sets these invites up for us, and he has made it the most easy thing in the world to be reminded and to join on Friday. So hopefully, if you've got time, you can join us. We will have much to talk about, I'm sure. If you want to find out more about the group, just go to the home here, read through our blog. You can check out all the different hosts that are involved in making this event happen monthly, and then also sign up at this link here. So good things, good stuff. Let's move on. Okay, one of the really big announcements of the week. Skype for Business Cloud Connector Edition 2.0. That's a major version number to hit, and big things have come with 2.0. If you haven't followed Cloud Connector Edition, this might interest you a little bit, but if you've been deploying for clients and digging into it and getting interested, your ears should be very perked right now. This is a cool new announcement. Let's skip the top fluff and go right down to the stuff that matters here. Like they say, we are pleased to release the Skype for Business CCE version 2.0, addressing the most requested improvements by our customers, including media bypass. That's the big headline here, but some other stuff. Support for 16 CCEs per one PSTN site. 16. The ability to manipulate SIP headers and use of Office 365 Skype for Business accounts and more. A lot of stuff here. We're going to go through this and try not to get too stuck in it, but there's a lot, and this was cool. Media bypass. For those of you that aren't as familiar with media bypass, they give a very quick little note on this. Allows a client to send media directly to the PSTN next hop, which is your gateway or your SBC, and eliminate the Cloud Connector Edition component from the media path. This streamlines media, more optimal route, better experience all around. So that is now allowed. They give a good little diagram of what this looks like, how media bypass affects the media and signaling paths. Here we see what it looks like without media bypass. The red being our media from the client. Our signaling has a much longer path, obviously, but without media bypass, we go client, firewall, CCE, back to the SBC gateway. when we introduce our CCE 2.0 and media bypass, we still have all of our long signaling path, but we skip this whole red path here and we go straight client to SBC. Awesome stuff. Beautiful. We have a quick little description about what exactly it means to have 16 CCEs per one PSTN site. Previously, one deployment of CCE could support 9,000 to 15,000 users using a 1:6, 1:10 ratio of available lines to users. Large companies, though, want to centralize CCEs in one location to minimize their costs. This is when the number of users can exceed 15,000 and require more instances per site. With the support of 16 CCEs, we now support 45,000 to 75,000 simultaneous calls lines. That is a big number. I mean, you can have a very big deployment that way. And so if I ever see a deployment like that, I'm going to be just giddy to work on it. That is cool. Moving on down, the ability to manipulate SIP headers for billing and interop purposes. I'm not going to get into all that stuff down here. There's a lot of little caveats about that and things you can read. I'll give the link to this so you can check it out for yourself. Use of a O365 Skype for Business account instead of a global admin account for deploying CCE. That's nice and might be of interest to security conscious organizations. Auto-generated passwords for local admins instead of you having to configure that via the CCE wizard. Introduction of hybrid voice flag and mediation service user agent to better distinguish CCE calls in your call quality dashboard. That I am very intrigued by and looking forward to seeing that in motion. Improvements to self-monitoring and self-troubleshooting process. And then disabling SSL 3.0 by default for all services used by CCE. A lot of really good improvements and big new features. Very exciting to see this release. Documentation, I've got all the links at the bottom as usual for a TechNet, or not TechNet, a Microsoft Tech Community post. And then recorded training down here. We've got a new Skype Academy session on this, so be sure to watch the video there. And then a session going deeper into the media bypass as well on Skype Academy. Okay, if all of this wasn't enough, here is another little piece of exciting information that I did not have the chance to watch the Skype meeting broadcast today by the Skype for Business product team, but Erwin went ahead and shared a great post here. And Erwin, I was going to say your last name and then realized I don't know the correct pronunciation. So I'm just going to skip over that, and we'll just stick with Erwin since that's your display name here on Twitter. But all the credit goes to you for pointing this out for people like me that weren't on that call. The next release of CCE, which is going to be tentatively 2.1, we will be able to coexist side by side existing on-prem Skype for Business Server 2015 infrastructure with CCE. That is going to be huge, and I already know of customers who were asking about this functionality before it was even announced. The tentative release date here, fall 2017, is what they're targeting. They talked about this in the video today. For those of you curious, like I was about the source, I'm going to give you the link to this Twitter thread. Go click on this video. This is the Skype for Business meeting broadcast that we missed. And Erwin points out about minute 50-51 in here is where they talk about this and give some really good solid details about what this means. Very excited to see this. Erwin, thanks again for sharing and helping to keep us informed for those that weren't on that video today. Super cool stuff. CCE is really getting a boost for the latter half of this year. Okay, next up, Skype meeting broadcast. And a fellow MVP, Mark Vale, at the 365.blog. For those of you that remember last year, Mark led the monthly series of the Skype for Business. Oh, goodness, the Skype show is what it was called. And it was a monthly show that he did diving deep technically into certain topics. And he went through a rebranding earlier this year and changed his approach to the 365.blog. He's had some really good in-depth blog posts out here. This one caught my eye this week. Skype broadcast meetings now allows external team members to join. As he points out, this may already be news that was put out there, but much like him, I didn't realize this had happened. So Mark went through the process of giving us plenty of screenshots, talking to us about how this works, putting it all together for us. As he mentions down here, the requirements seem to be, and just to summarize what this means here, we're not talking about just external people watching the broadcast. We're talking about an external person to your SIP domain being able to participate as a presenter or a part of the production team. So that is a really cool development. Um, as he points out here, the requirements seem to be external presenter must be either homed on Skype for Business Online or hybrid. External presenter Skype for Business server must be able to federate with Office 365. External presenter must be assigned a license in Office 365 that will enable them for broadcast meetings. And then lastly, this external presenter, if on-prem, must have their account synchronized with Azure AD. This is all obviously because Skype meeting broadcasts live in Office 365 only. They do not have a place with on-prem. So Mark kind of walks us through this process, what it looks like, and then gives a little shout out as well to Sean Harry for being his guinea pig. As we can see, we've got Mark Vale and Sean Harry in this participant list, both people that are serving as presenters in this meeting broadcast here. So very cool. Thanks, Mark, for sharing and putting this together for us. I really need to get deeper into Skype meeting broadcasts. This has been something on my mind lately, and I need to dive head on into that. All right, moving forward. This was a bit of unpleasant news that we all got from the product team at Microsoft for Skype for Business. I think something that had kind of been being chit-chatted about quietly for a while, and this was finally made public and made known to everyone via this blog post. But pretty much what they're saying is a year from now, in July 2018, they are no longer going to support the use of SBCs for connecting third-party PBX systems to the Exchange Online Unified Messaging platform. Their reasoning, they're making changes to provide a higher quality of service for voicemail using Exchange Standard and Skype for Business protocols. Customers considering a new deployment of this scenario should be aware that they will have a little less than a year to complete one of the migrations below. Why you would push forward with this right now, I don't know. Customers with existing deployments remain fully supported until July 2018, but they need to get into planning mode right now, especially large orgs that might feel that 1 year is really crunching it. So this includes moving voicemail-enabled mailboxes from Exchange on-premises to voicemail-enabling new mailboxes. If we go down here, they say the following configurations are not affected by this change. When you've got Skype for Business server on-prem connected to your Exchange Online UM, third-party voicemail solutions that deposit voicemail messages into Exchange Online mailboxes through APIs instead of the SBC connection, and then all forms of Exchange Server UM on-prem. So we're talking Exchange UM online. Several alternative solutions that are for impacted customers. We have options 1 through 4. Option 1, a complete migration from third-party on-premise PBX to Office 365 Cloud PBX. So really solidifying the story here of ditch your physical PBX, go to the cloud PBX. Number 2, complete migration from your third-party on-premise PBX to Skype for Business Server Enterprise Voice on-premise. So moving to Skype for Business Server completely, not just coexisted there. Option 3, for customers with a mixed deployment of third-party PBX and Skype for Business, connect the PBX to Skype for Business Server using a connector from a Microsoft partner and continue using Exchange Online UM through that connector. The example they give of such a connector is TE Systems AnyNode UM connector. So you might want to look them up. Option number 4, for customers with no Skype for Business server deployments or for whom the solutions above are not appropriate, implement a third-party voicemail system. So if you can't do any of the above, pretty much stop using Exchange Online UM. There have been a number of emails I've seen come across from different partners who are also letting customers know, if you're affected by this, we've got a solution as well. AnyNode reached out. That's one that I saw. The other one that I saw recently was Audio Codes is also saying they've got a solution there. So those would be 2 vendors that I know of off the top of my head to reach out to if you're affected by this and need to know what your best options are moving forward. I know we'll be helping a number of customers get through this path as well. So start planning now. Get familiar with this now. If you think that this may affect you or you know that it does, it is not something to ignore until the last minute. Get planning now. Again, I will include the link to this in the Skype for Business, in the YouTube video description. Last but not least, another bit of kind of unpleasant news is there was an exploit discovered for the Skype for Business client. We had James Arbor do a good little write-up here, Skype4Badmin.com, on how bad this is exactly. And he says, for those of you that aren't listening out on the Skype4B hashtag on Twitter, a new exploit was released for the Skype for Business client. He's not sure about the link client that exploits XSS to allow for remote website execution without user interaction. Kind of a icky little bug here. And if we read through this, he gives us all the steps that you can do for recreating this. Points out it's pretty simple. And follow the bouncing ball, install the. So he goes through and walks us through testing this out all on our own. He even gives us a little rickrolled YouTube video right in the middle of the post, which, you know, that helps break up the technical boringness of an exploit, right? But and then he goes through a little bit more of how to do this. Pretty much at the end, he says the fix is simple. Make sure your clients are running better than that long version number, 32-bit, and that long version number, 64-bit. Or you keep up to date by using the Office 365 click to run client. So there we go. There you have it. That is what I've got from the last week. Like I said, this might have been a longer video. There was a lot to cover, a lot of news. Good stuff and not so good stuff, but news nonetheless. Please let me know. Retweet, reshare if you enjoyed the show or found it helpful or useful or any variation of those two things. And yeah, it's time to move on to the next week. I've got some work to do over the weekend for user group related activities. User groups are getting into high gear for Q3, not just in the US, but other places abroad as well. So check into your local user group and see if you should get that on your calendar. And yeah, I've got the Austin user group will be happening in Austin at the Microsoft office on August 23rd, 11:30 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Central Time. So if you're one of my Austin attendees, I will send a link out to that pretty soon, and you can put it on your calendars. Also got some Ignite planning to do as well. So thanks again for everybody for watching. Hopefully we'll see you back here next week. And if you're able to, please, again, join us Friday, 3:30 UTC for the MSUChat for July. Thanks again, and adios.